Hey, Crystal, what's going on? Good to see you again. I think I saw you once before this week. What's up, Tenny and Mary and Karen and Susan and Jackie? Welcome to the Mastermind Monthly / Inner Circle. It's so awesome to have you guys here. You know, this group means a lot to me because I've been going live monthly for Inner Circle. I think this is my 10th year. So this is so cool that we're doing this. And this used to be a separate program called Inner Circle at $97 a month, and then we merged into Mastermind, and I just love this group, and I love bringing on special guests, which we have a special guest today. We're going to have some fun today. And why I created this is because I've always focused on the 3 M's in Inner Circle, for those of you that are new, because we got a bunch of new people here today. So if you're new, our family members, welcome the new people in the chat. Just tell them welcome, let them know what an amazing family this is. I think the 3 M's that have always moved the needle in my life is mindset, marketing, and then momentum strategies. And each month, really what this is, I think about the things that I've learned that month, or I needed this month, or I've obsessed this month, and then I find a way to translate it and give it to you guys. And that's been my goal. That's what I do. I'd love to say there's a year-long plan. There usually isn't, because the world changes a lot. And we change a lot. And plus, we're reading your feedback in the Facebook groups and inside the memberships on a regular basis. So today, heading into the end of the year, which really means the beginning of a new year, I thought it would be great for us to work on our vision. I love the statement, you wouldn't plan a trip without a destination. So here, this sounds separate, but why would you get caught setting goals without a big vision for your life? And then you think, well, isn't that the same? Not really. We could set goals, but if you don't have a vision. As a company, we work really hard. In fact, we just spent the last 2 months as a company here at Mastermind. We just spent 2 months working on what is our 10-year vision for Mastermind. For you all, you're all a part of Mastermind.com. Where are we going to be in 6 months, 12 months, 36 months, 5 years, 10 years? So we are creating a vision for this company because we all want to be rowing in the same direction. And I'd love for you to look through the lens of how does your goals and your vision allow you to row in the same direction? Because when you have a vision for life and goals, you start looking at things differently. You start have a little more discernment and say, hey, does that really, do those actions actually serve the man or woman I want to become? Or do they not? And that's why I'm so excited we have our special guest is Lori Harder today. If you guys have seen her course that just got launched inside Mastermind, it is so cool. She is the author of this book, A Tribe Called Bliss. I'll bring her up here in a minute. And I'm so excited because I have to be honest about Lori. Her and her husband have become dear friends of my wife and I. So we've also gone out and had dinner and a glass of wine together. And when you get to know somebody besides the business and the books and the social media explode, you realize who are just amazing people that you're graced to have in your life. And her and her husband are that to us. But besides that, her depth of knowledge, her depth of understanding this industry and the success she's having, I thought she would be perfect for the end of the year going into the new year. So I have some questions for you. We're going to get tactical today. A couple updates I want to let you know. So first, I am so excited we got Lori here today. Secondly, her new course is launched in Mastermind, I think, it comes out tomorrow, I think. Is today the 14th? It comes out tomorrow. So that's why you probably haven't seen it. Nobody was shaking their head because you get it tomorrow. Okay, so we thought we'd get a double whammy of Lori. So you get her live and you get her course, which is amazing. Secondly, January, I just talked to him 2 nights ago. January for Inner Circle will have Mr. Matthew McConaughey live. So we got Lori Harder and Matthew McConaughey. Who could be better than that, right? So we're super excited about that. So mark it on your calendar. I think it's January 11th is the date we tentatively have written down, but the team sends you all that stuff. I know, but I'm excited because I haven't spent time with him in about 4 months, and we're going to go live together here in the studio, and it should be fantastic. Your AI assistant, Gigi, I'm gonna urge all of you. We work on that every single day. We are investing money in that AI for you every single day. It is getting smarter every single day. And if you are on this call or watching the replay, you are a part of Mastermind and you have access to Gigi, your AI assistant. What is Gigi? If you're not using her, it is, we say her, but what is Gigi is we have all the data from ChatGPT, and then our team our IT team has loaded in all the things that Tony and I have done in this industry. So she thinks, I say she because it feels like a person, thinks like Tony and I do. So I would, if you guys have a sticky or a little stamp or a piece of tape and a paper, I would tape it to your laptop and say, don't forget to use Gigi. Because if you're not using AI on a regular basis, you're missing out on so much. Any question you could think of. You want extra recipes for the holidays, go ask Gigi. If you want one extra module for your course, if you want to break down the chapters of your book, if you want to know topics for the podcast you want to start, if you want to know what kind of camera you should use, Gigi has all of those answers. If you want to know a marketing strategy, a hook for your page, she thinks like we do. And it's getting, the AI is getting smarter every day. And for those of you that are afraid of technology, it is not technology. Picture you're talking to a coach. Hey, coach, I'd love to know. I help people go vegan, and I have these 4 topics. I'd like 4 more topics that make sense for people, for women that are 35 to 50 that want to get in shape and be healthier going vegan. It'll blow your mind what comes back. So you get all that by being a part of Mastermind, and I just wanted to remind you. So before I bring out Lori, I just want to say, I mean this when I say, when you watch a rising star, have fun watching her. Grab her book. If you haven't, you're going to want to grab a copy of her book. And I'm shamelessly plugging it because I know it's incredible. But you're watching somebody grow who was once, maybe we'll get a little bit of her backstory when we start. But we all started someplace, and we all started with a dream. And without further ado, can we give it up for Miss Lori Harder? Lori!
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. This is literally amazing.
Lori,
Dean. This is awesome.
So I want to tell you who this tribe is. This is the Mastermind tribe. This is the family that some of the people on here have been with me every month for a decade, which is so cool. And there's hundreds and hundreds, there's thousands of people on right now, and there'll be thousands more that watch it as the replay. Some are brand new, some are in between. And you heard what I said. This has been a fun monthly training. I pick a topic. It'll either be on marketing, it'll be on mindset, or it'll be on how to take the momentum and keep going. And I think with your book and some of the things that you have, I think this is the perfect time to talk about creating a vision for yourself. And some of the way, I love the way you break it down because you do it differently than I do. And that's cool because then people have these different ways to approach their success. But before we do, I don't want to make this is not a podcast today, guys. We are going to get into some tactical takeaways and we're going to nudge you to do some work. That's what Inner Circle is all about. But I would love to, just because I know the story, I love watching the success you guys have had. And here's the thing, when you watch somebody who's got a beautiful smile and you guys are happy and you're doing good and you're launching new products and you got a book come out and you got your mastermind, when people see that on social media, sometimes it's like, man, it must have just all fallen in line for Lori, right? No bumps in the road, no COVID that stops production, no family that thinks you're nuts, right? Like, we don't see the invisible sometimes. So instead of your whole life story, maybe you could just share a little bit on the invisible, that the tough parts in the invisible that took to get here, but at the end, is it worth it?
Well, I'm so honored to be here. And I'm also I love when people ask me my backstory because I think it's really important, Dean. And I know that you feel this way too, is that people know where you came from so that they can relate, and also know that anyone who is on this call right now, which I'm so excited to be here with you guys, you talking about creating a vision, you literally can do anything, but you have to know that the place that you came from is going to help you fuel that vision. And if some of you are on here feeling really disempowered because you feel like maybe you can't do it, or you don't have what this person has, or that person, or the education, that is going to turn into the why for the vision. So for me, I grew up in a really small town in Upper Michigan. I was born in raised into a more restrictive religion. I was an overweight kid. I did not see anything that was in my reality that was telling me that I was going to be successful. I did not graduate high school, still have not graduated high school. My story growing up was very much that I was not smart enough for anything. I would never amount to anything. And a mantra that I kept in my head all of the time is that I never finish anything. Have you guys ever had that story in your head? Like, that's actually what I noticed. I was on repeat, even into my late 20s, was I never finish anything. So guess what I did? I never finished anything. And in order for me to start to even know what I was here for, I had to start to change that sort of mantra that was going on in my head. So, it wasn't until I hit a couple of rock bottoms that I was able to realize that no matter what your background, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, you are capable of transforming that story and turning it into your vision. So in my 20s, that's when I started to get into the fitness world and really decided to see how far I could go with that, and use that as a platform. And from there, I just got more into personal development, writing books, and now creating products. So, we can talk through this, Dean, and all the little twists and turns and the fun of what it looks like creating a vision. But I always want people to know that if I can do it, not graduated from high school, coming from a very small town that nobody even knows existed, that you can too.
I love it, Lori. You already talked about it, but what, if you go a little deeper, how has a powerful vision overrode the I never finish anything, and no one in my family's ever been successful, and all the things that we have. I mean, just being really personal, even watching you in later years, when the first time we met, somebody told me that you guys had moved in our neighborhood and you guys were walking by my house. That's how we met, right? So when I'm like, hey guys, so even during that time, you guys had already had great success. You already quit your jobs and stopped and started in this knowledge industry and impacting people in masterminds and workshops. And you were getting ready to launch a beverage, right? And you don't have to tell the whole story, but ready to launch a beverage, raised money, put money in, put her heart and soul into it. And then COVID hit and you couldn't get cans. You couldn't get production. And think about raising money, going through it, put all your eggs in one basket. And when I met you, it was right before COVID. You're like, we are doing this. And I was so excited for you guys. And I'm like, can I invest with you? And you're like, no, I'm only having women invest. I'm like, well, shit, maybe my wife can, right? And all of a sudden, COVID comes. You can't get cans. You promised people you were launching and you couldn't. Now, we don't have to talk any more about that, but I just want you to know that's some of the stuff that happens in the invisible that you don't see. I was with Lori with tears in her eyes, with her feeling bad about the women and friends who invested in her company. And guess what? All the women and friends that invested in her company, they didn't care at all. They felt bad for Lori of what she had to deal with, right? And while I watched you, Lori, have such a heart of like, I don't know what to do. These women had faith in me. She didn't create COVID. She didn't create the shutdowns, right? But still, that's a human reality. But now she's launched a new product. Her business is booming. How does that happen? And I would bet to say a lot of it you give this vision, this process there, or else you wouldn't have wrote this book. So how has vision played such a powerful role in your life?
Oh, vision is so multi-layered, Dean, and I know that you know this too, but vision is the thing that's going to pull you through, and it's going to be the why that you get up in the morning. Because honestly, if I would have just attached to the vision of like, I'm going to bring this, beverage company to life, that was not enough, especially for the walls that we were hitting, the no's that we were getting, the challenges that we were going through. You guys aren't going to keep showing up because you want to launch a digital course, right? Raise your hand if that's true. If you're just like, yeah, if it's really hard and this is tough and I'm spending all this time and all this money just to get this course out, that's not a vision. And, we're either motivated by the pursuit of pleasure or to avoid pain. And for me, because I had experienced a lot of pain in the past, a lot of my vision was to help free people from pain. And I knew that in order to do that, I had to show people what was possible in the face of what they feel is the impossible. So for me, my vision kept pulling me to say, if you can just get through this, if you can just wake up another day and keep getting the no's and keep going, that if I can get through this, that I can be that reminder for women and for people that no matter what, you can do this too. So my vision truly is to free people from pain by showing them that they can keep going and that you're capable of so much more and your capacity is so much bigger than you think. And truly, what I want people to know is that all of the no's and all of the challenges is there for them. It is going to be the thing that creates the capacity to be able to hold the blessings. Because Dean, I know you know this more than anyone. The blessings that you have in your life, they come with a lot of responsibility. They come with you being able to handle a lot of different things that are going on. So all of these challenges that are coming to you, those are going to help you become the person that you're here to be.
I love that. And, you know, in our tribe, in our family, we call it our why. I have this process called the 7 levels deep of just keep going deeper on that vision.
Oh, I love that.
Why? Because here's the thing. Shit happens. Things go wrong. People let you down. You doubt yourself. The person closest to you in your life that you thought was your support comes to you one day and says, I think it's silly that you're trying something different. And it breaks your heart. Or all the things are coming. And a goal, I really want you to hear this, a goal is not enough to keep you moving forward. It just isn't. And that's why I love having these conversations. But a purpose, a vision, a heart-centered why, you know, we talk about this. How often, sometimes people say, yeah, Dean, I heard you share about you need a deep why. I heard you share that before, so what do you got for me? I'm like, yeah, but when's the last time you practiced it? When's the last time you reminded yourself of that vision, of that why? Do you have it written everywhere possible? Because everywhere you look, people tell you you can't. The media tells you you can't. The news is horrific. You go to lunch with people, we're so fragmented now in this world. Like, conversations are different than they were just 4 years ago. So I believe wherever you go, the world is trying to pull you in different directions and a goal's not enough. Karen, I see you shaking your head, right? A goal's not big enough. But a strong vision of like, no, this is who I am becoming. You know, I've shared this story before, and I feel like we're just two friends having a great conversation here, Lori. But when I was going through a divorce in my 40s, I went to Tony because I was so worried about my kids, and I don't want to share I've shared it before, but I was so worried about my kids because we had talked about it. My parents went through a lot of divorces, and everyone was ugly. And everyone, we were fragmented and trying to figure things out. And I can't talk to my mom about my dad. And my dad drops me off a half a mile from the house because he doesn't want to go. All this crazy stuff. And I had this feeling it was going to happen in my life. And I was freaking myself out. Like, my poor kids, my poor kids, my poor kids. So I go to Tony. I fly down there. I'm like, man, I'm freaking myself out. I'm feeling anxious. And I'm waiting for him to like talk about this specific thing. And he just said to me, I don't know, 47, 45 at the time. And he said to me, Dean, who do you want to become in your 50s? I'm like, who do I want to become in my 50s? I'm like, dude, I'm freaking out about going through a divorce for my kids. I'm 45 years old or 47. What the hell? I don't know what I want to become. And I immediately got it. He wanted me to paint a vision of the man, the father, maybe future husband I wanted to become in my 50s. And it just hit me, and I was like, God damn, this guy's good. Right? And I remember sitting there, and he's like, on your way home in the plane, write down the man you want to become in your 50s. And changed everything. I wrote down my vision. I wrote that I was going to become incredible friends with my ex. Not fake friends, real friends. I would be an active listener. I would never say anything negative behind her back, no matter what anybody says. And if anybody dared to talk negative about her, I would stand up for it. Doesn't matter what we went through. It doesn't matter if it was her fault or my fault. I would not go against her with the kids. I'll make sure the kids weren't fragmented. Then I got writing down, then if I ever found someone else in my life, what would that look like? They'd have to love my kids the way I love. And I went through, and all of a sudden, I had this vision blueprint of the man I wanted to become. It was way different than a goal. right? A goal to get remarried one day, that's different. Who did I need to become, and what vision did I need to focus on to get that end result? So I started to digress, but I understand this power so intimately that if it feels like we're talking through something that we may have shared before in the past, it's because it's not a little thing, it's everything. You are gonna hit obstacles. Things are gonna go wrong. People are gonna doubt you. The offer might not work at first. The marketing might not work at first. And you go, maybe this isn't for me. No, with a strong enough vision, you go, well, the first 10 times didn't work. I don't give a crap. If it's 10 or 200 more times, I am going until it works.
Mm-hmm.
What are, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love the big vision, because the big vision is going to be the thing that you have to have it, right? You have to do what Dean just said, and we can even go into that more, but I want to share, there were points in my life, and Dean, I feel like I would love to hear your take on this too. But, when Chris and I, after the recession in 2008, I think you know this story, Dean, Chris was in the mortgage and finance industry, and he was the main breadwinner for our family. I was still very much trapped in my story of, I'm not smart enough. I'll never be able to get jobs outside of like these random jobs. I was working some retail, some drive-through coffee shops, different things like that, things that were making minimum wage at the time. And my husband ends up losing his job. We lose our house, we lose our cars. We're $300,000 in debt. And I remember, hearing that I need to have this big vision. And to be honest, I couldn't even think about anything bigger than just wanting to go to the grocery store without having a panic attack at the checkout counter. Can anybody relate to that? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. And so for me, I would work on the big vision, but I almost had to go down to this like smaller vision of, and Chris and I call this, don't judge the carrot. Like there's going to be a carrot that's going to motivate you to want to do something. And it's okay if it's just the fact that you want to buy the organic cottage cheese without freaking out about it or feeling bad about it. And this was a big deal for us at this point. I just wanted to go and not feel like I was going to freak out at the checkout line because I spent too much and have my husband get mad at me when he looks at what I've bought. And so I let that motivate me. I let that be the first carrot was, you know what? I know the big vision. I know that I want to inspire people, but it's going to start right here with saying, what is it that I want to set my, 6-month goal as, my 6-month vision of, I just want to stop being stressed about going to the grocery store and make enough money to not care on this one right now. And I let that pain motivate me. I've gotten really good at allowing that pain to motivate me and be like, you know what? No more. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to feel this pain. I don't want people to feel this pain when they're at the checkout counter. And so I would have that big vision, but I would also break it into these smaller visions. Dean, can you remember a time when you had to do that for yourself?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so smart. As you're saying, I see the chats coming in. And if you're liking what Lori's saying, make sure she could see all the chats as well. It's so good. It's the art of Kaizen, right? How do you run a 1,000-mile race one step at a time? Sometimes we craft such a big vision out of the gate that when we're not getting there quick enough, it actually deflates us more than inflates us. So I want to put it back on you. What are some of the first steps? It's from your book. I pulled some pieces right from your book. But you talk about creating a community to help a personal support towards your vision and who you want to become. You have other strategies too, right? Who are you and what's your title? I want to get to that. If you were going to say, if we went through a not methodical, just a fun, let's call that's a too deep word. Let's have some fun helping people craft a vision that meets them where they are now. Whether it's going to the grocery store and not freaking out if you want to buy all organic, or it's getting to $20,000 a month or getting to $1 million a year. There's all a vision for all of us, and there's a starting point. What are some of the key ingredients you've learned in crafting that? Because I just want everybody to hear this. None of this comes to us in advance. I want to explain this to you. If Lori helps go through a process, Jackie, I see it, right? If Lori helps us take us through a process to create a vision different than the 7 levels deep, right? This is not something when she was going to the checkout store and couldn't get the organic cottage cheese, she went, let me follow my own 7 steps to a vision plan. right? You're just like, excuse my language, you're kind of like screwed. You're in a shitty situation. You don't like the job. You're unhappy. Your heart hurts. You're stressed. You're anxious. And something breaks or snaps in you. And instead of just laying down and accepting it, you go, I am changing everything one step at a time. And then in this industry, and we're all in the same industry, me, you, Lori, everybody on this call, is you look back in retrospect and go, how the hell did I get through that? I really want you to hear that all, because sometimes you think you need this vision in advance. It's the messy middle that allows you to create the actual plan. If you didn't go through the shit, if you didn't live in it, you wouldn't have the expertise to get out of it. And so many times people go, yeah, but I'm still in the middle. Great, you're in the middle. Somebody's on day one. They'd love to be in the middle. They would do anything to be on their way out. So again, I digress because I hear these things and I don't want anybody to go, oh, Lori had this plan. It's like, no, Lori, I guarantee you looked back when you were writing the book or helping at your mastermind or somebody paid you 25 grand to be in an event. You know you had to step up and go, shit, I better deliver something good here. How did I get here? That's how we craft this stuff, is how did we get here? And all of a sudden the how becomes the process, the workshop, the coaching call, the mastermind, the course, the book. So now that I said that, let's have some fun taking the steps into crafting this vision. Would you start with the support of the right community? Would that be just one of the ingredients?
I mean, I think it's one of the biggest ingredients. So I want to first go through some of the work that you can do on your own. And then I want to go through how your community is going to support you with that as well. Because personal development is great, but personal development only goes so far until you have to practice it with other people, right? And go out into the world and use it and have them be your confirmation. Like the people who you are around are going to confirm or deny who you're going to be able to become, right? You might have people in your life right now who very much are not going to be supporters on the journey of where you want to go. So we're going to talk about making sure that you have those people around you. But first I want to start with the question of who you think you are right now. And that's a really big, deep question. But Dean, here's what I find that we do. I feel like we go to create these visions and we create them from the person and the reality that we think we are right now and the titles that we are putting on ourselves. So imagine if back when I was trying to create a vision when we had just lost everything, if I was creating a vision from that place of the person that I thought that I was in that moment. Well, in the moment, I thought I was a loser who couldn't do anything, who lost everything. So imagine how big my vision would be. It'd be the size of a pea. It'd be nothing. And so the first thing that you have to do is start to detach from who you think you are right now and what that title is that you're calling yourself. And so I like to say, who am I? Write that down. What is that story that you're telling about yourself? It's like, oh, I'm someone who didn't graduate. I'm not very good at this. I'm not good at that. And instead, we have to start looking at who we are going to change that story of who we are, or how we're going to change that story of who we are. So I know that I have learned so much of this actually from sitting with Dean and Tony, of really changing your story. You guys have heard this before, right? You have to change your story in order to do this. So if you want that big vision, you're going to have to change who you believe you are. So even when I was going to create this beverage company, and now this other company that I have, which is a skin routine you can drink, it's beauty hydration. I know when I was going to create that, I literally had to ask myself these questions. If I had all the time, all the money, and all the network in the world, what would I be doing? And the reason that I was asking those questions was because at the moment, I didn't have all the time. I didn't have all the money, and I didn't have all the network in the world. So I had to pull the lid off of what I thought was possible. And that's kind of what we're doing with this. Who am I? So instead of answering, oh, I'm someone who's failed, I'm someone who's done this, or someone who's, been not done very well over here, you have to do things like, I'm resourceful, I'm loving, I'm here on mastermind.com right now and I'm learning. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to get uncomfortable. I'm somebody who's willing to put a lot on the line in order to keep showing up for this vision. So we first need to get that story that we're going to cling on to the second that the old story comes up, because I'm telling you, the old story will come up and try to strangle out your dreams and your vision every single day. This still happens to me. It doesn't matter what I do. It just shows up in like a fancier outfit. Like literally the old story still comes in. She just comes in a little bit more like progressive, right? So I have to still tell myself, okay, you may not feel like you can do this. You may be feeling like your old story of not being smart enough is coming in, but you are someone who has been resourceful. You have figured things out. You're able to go and find the people who've done it before. So you need to have this new story readily available to you so that you can grab it and you can re-implant that story the second the old one comes, because you can't get rid of the old story without the new one to insert into that same place. And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong, is they just say like, no, I don't want to think that anymore. You actually have to have the new words in place to keep reprogramming your brain to grab onto something new. So you have to first be willing. The first step is to let go of the identity of who you think you are, because you will not create a powerful vision from a place where you don't feel powerful.
Yeah, so for somebody, guys, when you hear this, it doesn't matter how many times you hear it. You've heard it from Tony, heard it from me. Mm-hmm. We have to hear it all the time, especially when you face headwinds. And all of you in this journey are going to get to a point of, oh shit, this is a little much for me, mm-hmm. right? Do you have, I know Chris has his mastermind. I spoke at it for him. It was fantastic. It had amazing people. But I saw you on social with a bunch of women dancing, having fun. Is that your mastermind, or were you showing up for somebody else's?
No, that's an event called Girlfriends in Business.
Gotcha.
That I do.
Do you currently, is that your event or is that someone else's?
It's my event.
Right. So I thought so, and it looked fantastic. So the reason I'm saying that is no matter how long you've been doing this, maybe it's just me, how long you've been doing this, these women pay you a lot of money to be there. Mm-hmm. The night before or the morning before, do you ever think to yourself, well, shit, am I going to deliver value to these girls? They gave me 25 grand each, or whatever the number is. It's like, God, is this enough? Do you still think that, or is it just me?
All the time. And you know what, Dean, actually it's something that I have really been, and I don't even want to say plagued by, but I am like the queen of anxiety around events, around delivering, around getting on stage. I always have the question, am I enough? Am I going to disappoint people? And I have just learned that that is actually such a valuable superpower. If you guys have that, I think that it keeps you on your A game. I think that it keeps you connected to the audience that is coming there. I think it keeps you putting in the reps and working a little bit harder. And the other day I found myself wishing it away, because I was going to go speak on a stage, one of our friends. It was a big stage with 1,000 people. And the week prior, I had a really busy week leading up to it. And I just noticed how much the anxiety of, you got to do well, you got to deliver, you got to, you have to show up this way. And the nerves just were overtaking me that week. And I had said a prayer in the car. I was driving to LA. So it was like very long time in traffic. And I was saying a little prayer like, God, I really want to be done with this anxiety. I'm so over it. Like I want to show up, and I don't want to do it with all of this fear. I'm so sick and tired. This was my conversation, right? In the car out loud. And I had a moment where just this internal voice came in, and it was like, okay, that it's a gift that you feel this. You don't have to feel it as much as you're feeling it. You can still work on it, but it is such a gift that you feel this, because it relates you to every single person who wants to do what you want to do and wants to hear from you. And you're supposed to speak into the fact that this is so very real for everybody. And you're supposed to speak into the fact that the things that you want to do most are probably going to have the most resistance around them. And I just had this really beautiful moment of like, okay, fear is not a bad thing. Anxiety is not a bad thing. We just put so much resistance around it that we make it bad. It's actually a good thing that keeps us really connected to the people that we're meant to teach.
I love that. And the reason I love talking about this is because we can talk about finding your purpose, finding your why, creating a vision, right? However you want to name it. We all need it. 100%. Not kinda. I would encourage every one of you, if you don't have it dialed in, you need it. We have to. It's the only thing that pulls us through the tough times. Then we can talk about old story, new story, old belief, new belief, right? Who are you? Who do you need to be? However you want to call it. We must do that, right? Lori thought she never finished anything. Do you think she'd be here with us today if she kept that story? She had to find a new story, right? All of this seems obvious, but what I want you to see is I want you to see behind the layers. I want you to feel, because some of you might think, wow, I did this 7 levels deep with Dean. I've been to a Tony event. I went through the Dickens process and I found who I was, or whatever process you went through. Man, and now I'm hearing Lori saying it. Why isn't my life better? If Lori looked at it that way, or I looked at it that way, she shouldn't have been nervous, freaking out, going in front of a crowd, or these women that paid her money. It's a work in process. It's a progress as we progress through each levels. So if it's your first one, I would bet to say the first time you ever got paid to either speak or put a group together, you wanted to vomit before you went out there. Is that true?
Very true. It's
right.
1,000,000% true.
Right. So many times I'll see somebody say, yes, but I'm so afraid of my first event. Welcome to being human. I was in Japan. I was in Tokyo with Tony. The first time we were friends for about a decade, about 10 years ago, and we're becoming friends. And he's like, hey, I'm speaking to 20,000 people in Tokyo. Fly on over. Why don't you speak with me? I'm like, oh my God, I'll go. But following Tony Robbins, and this is 12 years ago, I think I'm a lot better on stage now than I was then. I did more internet, more TV back then. So I go, and I'm literally in the back watching Tony do his magic, and I'm like ready to vomit. I can't get my food down. I literally ate a piece of food. You ever eat a piece of food and it feels like it stayed right here? It never got to your stomach. Anybody ever feel that? And it's like, you don't know, like where is it? Like, I'm jumping up and down, like, I gotta go out. There's food. Right? I can't even get saliva down, and I am having an internal meltdown, Lori. And I hear Tony going, and I want to bring out my brother, one of my dearest new friends in my life, and I'm like I can't breathe. And I remember going out there, and just in my head so much, and it was kind of a blur. And then, so it wasn't perfect. It wasn't, especially because everybody was in translation. So I've shared this with some of you. You want to talk about freaking out? I never talked to anybody in translation. I was talking too fast. The translator couldn't keep up with me in Japanese. So I'd say, do you guys understand what I'm saying? And nobody'd raise their hand. And I'm like, oh my God, they freaking hate me. In my head, I'm like, they freaking hate me. And then a minute later, I'm talking about something else and they go like this. I'm like, I didn't catch it, that I was off. So totally freaked out. So we jump on a plane and we fly to China. We're going to do a same size event in China. The reason I'm telling you this is because it doesn't matter. I do this every day of my life. Tony Robbins is my best friend and partner. I write books on it, multiple New York Times best-selling books. We have the biggest companies in the world that are doing it, and it's still there. We just use all these practices that we're sharing with you to build the grit, to build the strength to go, it's going to happen, but I'm prepared for it. I'm going to doubt myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to fail, and I'm going to learn from it and get my ass back up and get back in the game. That's these principles that we teach you between the marketing, between how to have an opt-in, between the irresistible offer, between all the other stuff. This is actually the small things that are the big things. So long story short, we go to China, and Tony goes, come on up. I go up to his room. He's like, tough day. I'm like, yes. He goes, you're in your head. And he simply said this, 2 things. He said, 1, you were probably worried about me because it was the first time you ever spoke in front of me. I said, true, dude, you changed my life 20 years ago. I wanted to impress you. He said, secondly, you wanted to make sure you impressed the audience. He said, it's not about you. It's about them. And he said, and I knew that. I taught that up until that point, but I lost all of it, right? But then the second thing I wanted you to hear was, the second thing he said was, for the exact thing you're going to teach today, I think you're the best in the world. Because I've been doing this forever. The reason we're friends is your depth and breadth in that category. You are the best in the world. Name somebody better at what you do. And I was like, I don't think there is. He's like, okay, so it's not about you. It's about them. Go out there and deliver that one thing that you're better than most people at. And all of a sudden I was like, and I realized this is the human condition. And if we don't have the tools in our toolbox to work through it, our brain will go, oh, it's not that. It's because you're a little bit older. Oh, it's not that. You're a procrastinator. Oh, it's not that. Your husband has never supported you. And our brain will come up with the reason, and then we'll just play small. And it's the reason we talk about. It's the reason I've been going live for 10 years on a monthly basis to anchor these principles in, because next month, McConaughey and I are going to talk about how he created his course, and we're probably going to drop some really good marketing strategies. But if you're in your head, if you're thinking like you're an imposter, or if you got your old story, or if you're the procrastinator or the person that doesn't finish, no matter what we say will feel heavy and something you can't get to right now. And then 10 years goes by in a minute. Anyway, didn't mean, but that was, I remember that it doesn't go away, and I still get nervous, and I still prepare, and I still, now, like you said, I actually like that nervous energy because it keeps me grounded, keeps me real, and keeps me want to deliver at a high level. The next thing, talk about who are you and who do you need to be. But I like this question. I never framed it this way. What's your business story? I'd love to hear a little more about that. What's your business story?
Well, this is that same idea of what's the story, what's your story? What's the story you've been telling yourself? But really look at what's your business story? Like, what do you say about your actual business? What do you say about you in business? And what are you telling yourself? Because we have a story around everything. So it's simply taking that idea that I know you guys have probably already asked this of yourself. What's my story? And how do I change that story? And just put it in with your business. Because something that I noticed was, I could change my story all day long, but then when I think of my business and when I put it in terms of my business, I noticed that I would say things to myself like, well, yeah, I can have a business, but it's never going to be as big as this other person's because I'm not smart enough. And it kind of went back to my other story. So I had to create a new business story of I'm resourceful. I can run a business because I can find the right people to surround myself with. So you can borrow that story. You can borrow my story that I just shared, that I'm resourceful. I can find all the right people to surround myself with. I understand how to run a team. And if I don't, I could find somebody who could. And this is my zone of genius within my business. So rewriting what you think is possible for your business and making sure that that's the story you cling to. And guys, this seems so basic, but I'm telling you, it's the most basic things that have changed my life.
I love that. And as you're saying that, you're right, because if you don't know how to describe the business you're in or the business that you are becoming, and I say you are becoming because you are your own personal brand, if you can't describe it to someone else, what do you think your subconscious is feeling? If a friend to you said, hey, I know you're part of this mastermind thing. What do you do? Well, I'm kind of... I'm going to do this coaching. No, I'm probably going to build a course. Maybe someday do a podcast. And I would work on being able that your subconscious and what you tell people is so aligned, right? I just wrote down while you were talking, how do you describe your business? If we got in an elevator and we were only going up 5 floors and I said, hey, Robin, or hey, Tamara, what do you do? It's like, I would think about that today. It's like, and I just wrote, I help people do what by what, right? That might be a great new frame, right? So if you did that in the chat right now, I help people do or overcome or succeed by, right? I help people go vegan by a 7-week coaching program that shows you how to go vegan without being hungry, or whatever it is. I know we create solution statement and what is your solution, all those pieces we create. But I would really love for you to go into 2024 and be able to describe this elegantly to others so you can describe it to yourself. Because then you could take what Lori just shared. It's like, I help people enter and scale in the self-education industry by taking our 70 years experience and sharing with those that are ready, right? But then underneath that can be the pieces that Lori's just sharing. And I do this because I'm confident. I'm courageous. I get things done in my business. I do the hard things. I do what others aren't willing to do. And you could start crafting this business description and story. And how often should you read it? I don't know, I think you should read it every single day, right? Describe it every single day. So as you do it, if you have this, I'd love to know what business you're in. Put it in the chat. Let Lori see it in the chat as you go. And of course, yes, you can have Gigi help you describe it. She thinks like we do, so don't be afraid to use the AI. That's our AI. I help people dance through life with my Abundance membership that shares support and structure around tap dance and personal growth coaching. We have fun. Love it, Ashley. So good, right? I help people take control of their finances and invest like a pro. That went by so fast. I help people sell their real estate listings quicker and for more money by having an irresistible narrated video tour of their listing. Love it, Stephen. Fantastic. I help pharmacists move beyond dispensing only and get back to using our knowledge daily with my Pivot program. Thea, that is killer. I help women in their 50s prepare both spiritually and financially before death. Wow. I help folks that have type 2 diabetes move through obstacles of getting their glucose under control. This is so cool. So have this and now put some empowering words underneath it. I'm unstoppable. I'm courageous. What are the words that describe you? What's the next step in this?
So the next step is your community. And I could talk about this for 5 days straight because I really believe.
Well, we love it. This is our family. This is our community, right? So that Mastermind stands for community, family. So this is right up everybody's alley. So let's talk about it.
This is why I'm so excited to have been invited into this community, first and foremost. It's always an honor when people come together to really value it, because I think everything good in your life will come by way of your community. Everything that has been good in my life has come by way of different communities that I have either created or put myself into. And so I want you just to take a second, go ahead and even just scroll through these pages. Like, look at all of these people. I want you to just look at everyone's faces for a minute. All of these people are like-minded in some way with you. They all have a vision or want to create a vision, and they all want to come together to be surrounded by you, to be surrounded by other people who think exactly like them. Like, this is really magical. And you've taken a big step to constantly surround yourself by these people, because I believe your community will reflect back what is possible for you. Who you're around will tell you what is either possible or not possible, right? We can only go as far as the limiting beliefs of the people who you are surrounded by. So if you're around a bunch of people who don't think things are possible for them, how far do you think you're going to go? But if you're surrounded by a community like these beautiful faces that are on the screen right now, who think that anything is possible, that you're capable of so much more than you can see right now, then you're going to be able to do that, because not only that, they're also your proof. So the people around you are proof that you can do it too. So if someone's done a little bit more than you in the group, you should be so grateful, because they're showing you that it's possible for you. So for me, what I have always done, and this is like the world's top secret that's not so secret that we need to let everyone know about, is when you want to go and do something, you literally have to change your environment, meaning the people around you, because your environment is stronger than your willpower. Your environment is stronger than your willpower, and your environment are the people that you're surrounded with the most. Now, I know some of you right now have people in your life or in your family or your current friends who maybe aren't the people who are supporting you. That's okay. You kind of want to go out. You want to use the idea of the crowding out method. Have you ever heard of that in like the fitness and wellness or health community, where they say, instead of trying to stop eating all the bad food, what you need to do is crowd your plate with all of the good food first. And it kind of crowds out the bad, because you've loaded your plate with all good stuff. So what I want you to do is start loading any extra time that you can possibly with the people who are going to be a good influence on you, with trying to get on all of these calls, with maybe going to some fitness classes or going and creating some coffee time once or twice a week with different people, so that you're starting to crowd out the room of maybe the people who are a negative influence on you. So what happens when we change our environment is literally literally by osmosis, you're going to start changing. Have you heard the saying or the thing when parents are always like, oh, I don't want my kids to hang out with the bad kids or with the bullies? Why? Why don't they want their kids to hang out in those groups? Because they become them. Right? And it works the opposite way as well. When you start hanging out in these groups of people who are thinking bigger, guess what happens? You start thinking bigger. You start thinking things are possible. And I know that you can feel that from being in this group. It's huge, you guys. So what happened for me, I remember the very first time that this really happened for me, when it was around making money and doing a business. And it was right after Chris and I, my husband, had lost everything. I had found network marketing. I actually said no to it for years. I was like, no, I can't do network marketing. I won't be invited back to my family's house. Everybody hates you, all these things. I had all these stories around it. And so long story short, that's for another time, but I ended up doing it. And the first thing that my friend said, who got me involved, was you have to go to this event, because I was kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And she's like, you have to go to the event because the event is going to show you what's possible and you're going to want to run through a wall and it's going to help you do this. And I was like, how can an event really do that? Like, whatever, I guess I'll go. It seems like it's all rah. And like, I just wasn't into it. It just seemed very fake and fluffy. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go because I desperately need money. So I'm going to go and try to figure this out. So I go to the event. And what happened is, this event is 3 days long. And on day 2, I remember a bunch of women who had stories similar to mine started walking across the stage, and they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they were sharing their story. And it was one after another, after another, after another, after another, sharing their story that was very similar to me. And some way worse than me, right? That I was like, wait, if they can do it, I can do it too. And then the conversations that were going on in the hallways and the conversations that were going on at dinner were all conversations of why you can do it, not why you can't do it. And so the communities that you put yourself in are going to be the way that you get there, because we're not going to make it there with the current communities that we have if we haven't already. That's like saying, hey, I want to graduate high school, but I'm going to stay with my first grade teacher the whole time. Right? In order to graduate high school, you need to go to your second grade teacher, then your third grade teacher, then your fourth grade teacher. And this is what your communities need to look like. If you want to go to a different place, you have to go find that different teacher, and you have to go find the people who have done it before, and you have to do whatever it takes to get in those rooms. Now, sometimes I couldn't pay to be in those rooms yet. I wasn't ready, or I didn't have the money for it. So what I would do is I would listen to the podcast. I'd try to maybe buy the courses. And then eventually I'd say, I'm going to do everything I can to try to get that money so that I can go be in that room. Because for me, money became an energetic down payment of how I'm going to show up and put something major on the line so that I show up. So community is a huge way to not only put yourself in the groups of people who are going to show you it's possible, but they're massive accountability for you, because I guarantee that most everyone on this call is more afraid of disappointing people that they care about than losing money. And I know that was me. I was like, if I disappoint these people or don't show up who I care about and kind of like look up to, that is going to kill me. So I used accountability through groups of people. I used accountability through money. And these are things that really worked for me.
So good. So good. And I love different perspectives on things that are just so foundational in the change of life. It's so true. And let's just talk on the human side. I promise you all, as you evolve, there will be people in your current inner circle that can't handle it. And I just want to tell you, as you evolve, and some you won't even believe that it's happening. They'll act weird, they'll act different. When they see you change, if they're not ready to change, you can't be mad at them, you can't judge them, and you can't try to change them because they're not ready. As Trent Shelton, our mutual friend, says, it's your prescription. You give your prescription to somebody else, they're blurry, right? You have a vision for your life. You are a part of Mastermind. You might be a part of our coaching programs, or you might be a part of Launchpad Accelerator or Launchpad. You have this vision for you. You have this crazy dream. You try to explain it to someone else, they think it's crazy. It's the wrong prescription for them. But I want to tell you, as you grow, there are going to be people in your current inner circle that'll fade away or leave abruptly. or try to hold you back because they're not willing to do it. And it's just part of it. A lot of them come back later on in life. I want to tell you, at 55 years old, some friends I lost a couple years out of high school when I was going for it and they thought I was crazy. Even in my 20s and early 30s, people left. And some of them have come back in my life as great just friends that we reminisce about the past. But they left for a long time, and that's okay because I truly believe, whether you believe in God or the universe, that when you can let go with a kind heart and go, that person doesn't fuel me right now. It's not our time to be together. I think the universe brings somebody in your life that fills that gap, that inspires you. If I didn't open that space, would, I don't know, Tony Robbins be in my life, my amazing wife be in my life, Brendan Burchard, and so many others in this space that have impacted my life in such a positive way. There might not have been room for them if I would have forced the old tribe, right? And sometimes you're trying to drag them with you and you don't realize how heavy it gets to try to get somebody to see what you see. Maybe they're not meant to see it. So I just want to share with you, no matter what phase you're at in your life, at what level of your life, if you're here, you're somebody that knows they're meant for more and you're doing something about it. You're not just dreaming that you're meant for more, you're actually a part of a membership, a part of a family. You're getting stuff done. And things can change. So, Lori, I just want to say it has been so cool to hang out with you. Thank you for being here today. And I agree, you have this network. I would challenge you, befriend somebody in your neighborhood. We are big enough here at Mastermind now, tens of thousands of members. We are big enough now that there's probably someone in your town, in your city. Maybe it's somebody you meet for coffee, right? But that's weird. Like in today's world, it's like, meet somebody in person? Whoa, right? But maybe it's just a Zoom accountability friendship. Maybe it's a coffee with Mastermind people. In fact, over the next 2 years, we are going to, it is in our 10-year plan that we are going to build Mastermind meetup groups in different cities where you guys can come together and share and feel like you're a part bigger than yourself, that you don't feel crazy for being a dreamer and an entrepreneur. But until we make it official, you could start doing those things yourself, right? So I'd say you're a part of an amazing community. You guys have way more in common in this group than most. Follow these steps. So going into the end of the year and the end of our call here, we are going to, number one, work on that vision, that why. Remind yourself, so many of you have done it with the 7 levels deep, but this is a different angle of who you were and who you are and who you need to become, right? You got your business story. What is your business story? Are you speaking it with courage and confidence and being proud of what you're doing? Or are you hiding from it and being shy and thinking about, I'm a procrastinator, I don't finish things? Or no, the new me gets shit done. The new me is courageous, right? How do we describe you and that business and make it one? Business and life aren't different. They have to run side by side. They have to be great dance partners, right? And I love the community part of just watch who you surround yourself with. You don't have to immediately leave people, but bring new people in that don't make you feel crazy for your dreams. They actually empower your dreams. And that's what I hope you guys get here at Mastermind. Hope we bring amazing people like Lori. Thank you for spending time. I know how busy you are. I hope you and Chris are doing amazing and have an amazing holiday. Everybody, I hope you have an incredible holiday if we don't get a chance to talk. And when you guys are in town, hit my wife and I up. Maybe we can grab some dinner. Any last words, Lori? But I just really want to say thank you. This community appreciates you. Give her some love in the chat.
I'm just so grateful, Dean. It's always so much fun to talk to you. I literally just feel like we got to catch up and also catch up with these beautiful people on here. So thank you guys. Thank you for all the love in the comments. That means the world when you're speaking, and you guys gave me so much life and energy. And I hope that you really, really do this work and remember to go back to it and constantly grab that new story, because remember, it is the little things that will change your life in the biggest ways. So don't overwhelm yourself. Start here. It's going to be great.
Lori, thank you so much. Everybody, part of the Mastermind family, we'll see you on Mondays. We'll see you next month with Matthew McConaughey. I think Lori did better than Matthew. I appreciate you. Thank you. See you soon.
I've never ever given up this time.